Today we sit down with someone who worked in the fans world and has since become one of its biggest critics. And you've since been very vocal on your Instagram about how it was manipulating the girls into performing this content.
I have a friend in Queensland who came out of OF and is like, babe, I never would have done the things that I did unless, an agency. If I am getting you to do anything for profit that you don't want to do. So if I took pictures and videos and photos of you that you did not want me to take and I put them on and I got to make a profit out of it, I just tricked you. This is what they wanted. I'm like, yes, you can have free will, absolutely. But also you can't negate how manipulative this industry really is. It's, hey, we're not making a lot of money. We will look at their levels. And then what do? Well, babe, maybe you should collaborate with this girl. Maybe you should do a photo shoot with this girl. Have you ever thought, maybe don't just do like lingerie, that's so oversaturated. Maybe you should try niching yourself out. Yeah. We'll help you.
What's the reality of what creators actually do to their mental health when they sign up?
And I did things that I didn't want to do. How do I deal with the shame? And she's like 15.
You're putting it on the internet for everyone to see. Management was speaking to subs that were actually family friends, telling subs that they would do things that they completely were uncomfortable with.
The average wage of a OF girl is $131 a month. 300 million people that are signed up to OF and more than the population of America. OF gets sticky, right? Because we put it in such business terms, but then we still have to remember these are humans at the end of the day and that there are real vulnerabilities and there are real dangers in things like agencies that are predatory.
Wow, I feel good. I knew that I would now. I feel good.
Welcome back to another episode of the Spicy Waitress Diaries. I'm your host here, it's Opal. Today we sit down with someone who worked in the OnlyFans world and has since become one of its biggest critics. She's here to share behind the scenes and what creators really faced when doing OnlyFans. Welcome, Victoria.
Thank you very so much for having me.
That's okay. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So working in an OnlyFans management agency, what was it like and what was your specific role?
So my role at the agency in the beginning was marketing. So my main role was to make girls go as viral as possible, as quickly as possible on all social media platforms, to put people into a funneling system to end them at the OnlyFans platform. But then over time, my role evolved and I ended up also doing recruitment and also OnlyFans account management.
Yeah, so you were logging in and you were on their actual account?
Yeah, so I guess for people maybe that aren't super aware of like what an OF agency is, I know you guys understand what this is, but for people listening, that's the main role of an OnlyFans agency, is to pretend to be the girl on their behalf.
Yeah.
And the reason for this, right, is because if we put, like I always say, put on our business brains and think about this. If you have a girl who has hundreds of thousands of followers, right, and she's promoting her OF, being like, hey, come chat with me on OF or whatever it is. Well, the main allure of how people communicate on OF is through instant messaging. So she can't sit there and facilitate conversations, right, for hours with all of these different people, meet all of her content requirements and do everything else.
Yeah.
So she has to offset that to an agency. And so then agency will put people on the account to pretend to be the girl on their behalf to make as much money as possible on the accounts.
Yeah. I feel like the majority of guys are aware of that nowadays, thanks to the marketing and, of these agencies getting so greedy. 100% are aware of it. How many girls did you look after? Did you have TikTok, Instagram, X, Twitter, all of those platforms, and you had to look after every single one of them?
Yeah, essentially. So my role was to get the girls hyped for their content requirements. So we had actually hired an expert who would study algorithms. And so his role was every single day, he would send us very specific content that the girls then had to recreate. So I had to make sure that on their TikTok, on their Instagram, on X, Reddit, whatever it was, that the girls were doing these requirements and that they were posting what needed to be posted. And then also making sure behind the scenes, the team that we had at the time, including me, was also posting everything that needed to be posted on these platforms.
Yeah. And I guess it's sort of like a checklist of content that creators have to do. I think that's something in itself as well, like just kind of molding everyone into someone else by these content checklists, like all the trends, all the girls are doing the same shit. Like, what are we really doing to show our identity if it's all the same content that we're all doing, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And think about even like pulling that even more. What are you doing? You're wanting to niche out girls as much as you can. So you're trying to stick humans into these categories of who they are. So be like, this is who you are, so we can make as much money as possible off of you and capitalize on this fake persona that we're trying to get you to be.
Yeah, yeah. And it's like if you don't have a niche, like you're not going to make it.
You're not going to be sellable. Which is crazy because you're a human.
Yeah, yeah.
You have since taken a turn out of managing and now you're on the other side of things, and you've since been very vocal on your Instagram about how it was manipulating the girls into performing this content and having to meet a certain amount. Can you talk us through that?
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the biggest, this is why now doing the work that I do, the biggest backlash that I see is people being like, well, the girls chose this is what they wanted. I'm like, yes, you can have free will, absolutely. But also you can't negate how manipulative this industry really is. And now seeing on the global scale that I do, how many women are manipulated, how many women are coerced, how many women come out of this and like, dang, I have a friend in Queensland who came out of OF and is like, babe, I never would have done the things that I did unless, you know, an agency. I have a friend in the States who's super vocal. Who was like, if it wasn't for the agency, never. They forced us in. Like, this is pretty hectic stuff. Like, they would hire out the mansions, shove us full of drugs and alcohol, lock us in rooms, film us, like, and then put that stuff on our OF. So it's like, yeah.
No, that's illegal.
Well, like it is, right? OF is legal and agencies are legal. So what's the accountability part there, right? Because if you're technically doing something that's not illegal, but it is illegal, how do you prove that it is?
That's hectic. How
Yeah.
are they still doing that?
Yeah, so this is one of the biggest agencies in the US. From my understanding, she hasn't named the specific agency where this happened, but she's very vocal about this being a part of their story.
That's shocking.
Yeah.
But there's another creator that's like pretty massive, and she talks about just like how detrimental male dominated OnlyFans management is, and like how, you know, it's literally trafficking.
Yeah,
Totally.
Yeah.
Women actually have more emotion. They care more about these girls, whereas the guys see them as just dollar signs. I think.
yeah.
Obviously, it can go both ways, men and women, but we've seen men do it, and it's horrible.
Yeah, I think so to like answer the original question kind of about like the manipulation stuff, I have like two ways that I explain this. I'm like, there's soft manipulation and there's hard manipulation. So if I said to you guys, it's really bright in here, turn the lights off, you would say that's hard manipulation to a degree, right? I want you to do something, I'm getting you to do it. But imagine like, babes, it's really bright in here, don't you think? And you go, oh, really? Yeah, it kind of is, isn't it? You know what? I'll turn the lights off. So I'm making you think that it's what you want to do. And so that's a lot of kind of the underlying, I guess, themes of what is in these OF agencies, right? So just say at the agency I was at, we would have this thing like in the onboarding process called a questionnaire. And so the questionnaire was as much information as possible you can get about the girl, right? Because you need to understand how to best represent her. Now within that, there was these things called levels. And so levels was, what level of content are you comfortable doing? And so level 1 was like Instagram content, bikini and lingerie. Level 2 was implied nudity. Level 3 is full nudity. Level 4 was everything but anal. And level 5 was everything. And so imagine psychologically what this is doing. And this is where this whole process of escalation comes in. And this isn't a theory. Again, so many of my friends talk about this very openly. Of imagine you're coming into an agency and you're like, oh, I'm just going to take like some cute pics and like cute little outfits. And then this agency is telling you that, well, that's actually like level 1. That's the bottom. Don't you think you're going to go, so do I have to climb a ladder to like get to the top? And so that's a lot of the themes of specifically as well the agency I was at that we would have. So it wasn't this forced thing. It was like a nuance. And then when girls would say to us, hey, we're not making a lot of money, we would look at their levels. And then what do? Well, babe, maybe you should collaborate with this girl. Maybe you should do a photo shoot with this girl. Have you ever thought, maybe don't just do like lingerie, that's so oversaturated. Maybe you should try niching yourself out.
Yeah.
We'll help you. And so that's where it's like, oh, okay. And then over a period of time, we actually realized that level 1 made us no money. So it was my idea. I actually said, well, why didn't we just get rid of it? So again, OnlyFans is supposed to be the safer, the better alternative for girls, the more autonomy. But when we understand the role of agencies, imagine you're a girl who's like, I have all this autonomy. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to post bikini and lingerie content. But I'll have an agency represent me But then you come to the levels and you see level 1 is now implied nudity. You're already having your barriers shattered and what you were comfortable with. But now you're kind of already here. What do I do? It's the company policy. Like, do you see how it gets messy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, when girls get there, it's very, they could be like, well, I don't want to do that. Did all of them just go, oh, I have to do that? Or did a lot of them go, not doing that and walk away? Because
So it's good. Yeah, it's a great question. I think it depends. Like, again, if you're being inaugurated kind of into this ecosystem, the way we would market the agency is we had this legitimate Instagram account where we're throwing legitimate parties. So we're showing this lifestyle. And even the language that one of the owners would use is that we want girls to be part of the sisterhood. We want them to be part of this community. And so imagine you're promoting this lifestyle. Like she would say the angle of how we would sell it is, well, this is very isolating. We want girls to feel like they're a part of something. And so imagine now,
very cold.
I think that's why it's so important, right? To talk about this underground world of it, because superficially, it's like OnlyFans is this fantastic thing. It's giving you all this autonomy. Yes, that can be true, of course. But when you understand the kind of global underground, you're like, well, is that really true? Because if you're promoting this, then you're, again, more likely to shatter any barriers that you have. Because I want the friends, I want the lifestyle, I want to party in the mansion.
Yeah.
Like that seems elite,
Yeah.
you know? And so that's why it's soft manipulation, which is making you think that you want it.
Yeah. And then,
Yeah.
so like I've seen you talk about on your Instagram about, you know, younger girls in high school, things like that, wanting to be a part of this bop house thing. Can you share a little bit more about like what you've seen from that?
Yeah, totally. So I travel, now I spend a lot of time in the States talking about this. And I think the biggest thing that I see with young people, so people under the age of 18, is that they might not be influenced to go do something like OF, right? But they are obsessed with Ari Kitsia, with Sophie Rain, even here, Anna Paul. She was like the biggest thing ever for that period of time.
Yeah.
And so I've literally had girls tell me multiple things. I was at a private school here in Melbourne. And these two girls came up to me after I finished speaking. And like, it's just for the stereotype, private Catholic school, you would assume in a rich area that, you know, they would have these really high moral standards, I guess, and not be influenced by these things. And they came up to me and they said, babe, do you know Anna Paul? And I was like, nah. I was like, I've just seen her on TikTok. Why do you ask though? And they're like, oh my gosh, like we're obsessed with her. We love her, all the things. I was like, okay, cute. Well, what do you like about her? Well, she seems happy and she can travel. I was like, okay, cool. So do you think that the only way you can be happy and travel is to do OnlyFans? And they're like, well, yeah. And I'm like, that's so wrong. There is so many millions of ways in this world we can be happy and we can travel. You don't have to do this, but this is what that life is promoting.
Yeah.
I've also had girls in tears in my arms, like being like, I was in Georgia and I was speaking at like a youth event and I'm literally getting ready to leave. And this girl runs up to me, she goes, excuse me, can I ask you a question? Yeah. She goes, how do you deal with the shame of what you did? And so we know that's a loaded question, right?
Yeah.
Because she's clearly dealing with shame. So she needs to know how do I deal with it?
Yeah.
So that's when we sat down and I spoke with her a little bit and got to the root that, well, last year in her summer, she was watching Bop House content and she thought that to get a boy to like her, that she had to go do things sexually with him because this is what she saw Bop House girls doing. And she's like, and I did things that I didn't want to do. How do I deal with the shame? And she's like 15.
Wow.
So I think that this is the greater
So
cultural
young.
influence. Oh, I have stories for days of like, even like in schools in the States, one of my friends, her daughter would have been, I think 14 at the time. And this is when the Bob House was open for registrations. And so she comes home from school and is like, Mom, all of the girls are like storing up their content on Instagram to be able to apply for the Bob House when they're 18 and it's open for registration. Well, okay, let's put that in actual language. They're taking pornographic images of themselves underage in the hopes that one day they're going to be able to go join a porn house. That's
Crazy.
illegal and it won't even be around. I don't even think the Bob House exists anymore. I think after all the Piper Raquel stuff, it got a little hot and they've shut it down now.
Okay. There's a girl that I watch on Instagram and she's very feminist and like spoke on the Bop House and spoke on Camilla. And she did a video and she's like, there's literally a 12-year-old girl in this content and she's grooming her to be in this industry. And I was like, I never even thought of it like that. And it was talking about her brother as well, being young and being in the content, talking about it all. And you're like, I didn't even register with it actually because they make it so bright and so fun and so
totally.
it's
Money and what I'm doing today. Like they're at these shops and driving them fancy cars. It is,
it's all like a show, and then when you dive into it, it's like this is the reality, and you don't think about it until somebody really opens up about it, and that was crazy.
I don't think you even think about it like at that ripe age, like, you know, we both have kind of hit 25, 26. And it's so true what they say about like your frontal lobe developing when you're 25, you know, like the person that I look back on when I was only a couple of years ago was so different to who I am today. Like you've got so much maturing and developing to do as a woman, especially. And it's just, it's so dangerous to put something out there and leave such a digital footprint.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like when we were younger, it's like Bratz dolls, Barbie dolls, and now it's like Pop House, dolls, come get your porn film.
Yeah, so from our chat earlier, you mentioned trafficking in the US and getting creators to do content that they weren't wanting to do. Can you speak a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so this is so interesting. So in the States now, because basically the purchasing of sex is illegal there. So we have legal brothels here, we have all these different things. So for us, we have a little bit more of a different social lens of this, right? But over there, the purchasing of any type of woman is illegal. And so what is happening now is a lot of these agencies are coming to life. And in Washington recently, there was a guy who had a mansion and had all these girls there that supposedly he was housing and forcing them to do content and then putting it on OnlyFans. And they're seeing now, especially in activism world, they're wanting to target more and more people because trafficking. So a lot of people think trafficking is like kidnapping a girl, putting her in a white van and like forcing her to do stuff. That's not trafficking. Trafficking is basically if I am getting you to do anything for profit that you don't want to do. So if I took pictures and videos and photos of you that you did not want me to take and I put them on OnlyFans and I got to make a profit out of it, I just trafficked you. And so this is where it's getting messy now because before trafficking was a little bit more linear in a sense of, yes, you are physically making someone do something that they don't want to do for profit, where now when it's done digitally, and again, you've got all these nuances within it, they're trying to now see, okay, so where is this consensual? Where is it the girl is wanting to do this? What if a boyfriend is taking stuff? What if it's revenge porn? Like there's so many different categories now, but then also the actual physical housing of people and taking like videos and content without their consent is very real and is happening online as well.
So scary.
Yeah. Well, I think just like for people, I hope like, I don't want to doomsday, but I think it's important, like we were kind of saying this on the phone, but like have a well-rounded perspective. So people listening, it's like there's this one side of it, right? But then there's also this side. And I don't think it's fair for people, especially young people, to think that there's only this one side that all these OF girls show, because it's actually not the reality for vast majority of people that are in the industry.
Yeah. So like a lot of sort of opposing the opposing argument would be like for you and what you're promoting now, like do you think like people would say like should you not just let people do what they want to do?
I think, okay, I love that question because I've had so many people be like, well, her body, her choice, shouldn't we let people do whatever they want? It's their autonomy, it's their life. I'm like, yeah, but where's the line in that? Right? So just say someone like Connie Blue and Lily Phillips, it's her body, it's her choice. Imagine if she was pregnant and she did have a little baby inside of her and she's doing these golden shower, baby showers that she wants to do and, you know, having sex with multiple men when she's pregnant. We can all agree that's wrong. But if we have this lens of, well, it's her body, it's her choice, she can do whatever she wants, where do we draw the morality line? So I think as well with people who consume this content, there's a very high chance that when people consume this content, process of escalation again, the more extreme it is, the more likely they are. Here in Australia, it might sound like I'm bopping, I promise it'll make sense, but the biggest issue that is facing our Australian government right now is the consumption of child pornography.
Yeah.
And so it's like, where does it end? So you might start with something, but then I have a friend who's very vocal about the fact that he started watching porn, it got more and more intense, and then before you knew it, he actually ended up getting arrested for attempted rape of a woman.
I was about to say something like that. It's been hectic with all of the sex trafficking, the child pornography, and then like kids, younger kids thinking they can do whatever they want with women because they're putting it out online. They're like, well, you're online, I can do whatever I want with you. You do like with topless waitresses and that even. It's like, well, you're in that business, I can do whatever I want to. You're a slut,
Yeah.
and you're putting yourself there, so I can treat you that way.
Exactly. And I think that that's really important for people to understand in that argument of her body, her choice. People could do whatever they want. I just propose, I'm not saying I have a specific answer, but for people to ponder on, well, where is the line and the morality? And I believe that we should have a line because it protects people. And so that's just where I go, and that's what we got to think about. Yeah.
It's not like, sorry to say, but it's not like, yeah, it's your body, you can do what you want. Like, you're putting it on the internet for everyone to see. It's a different thing if you're doing this because it's your kink and it's like you get off to it, whatever. But like, it's not that anymore. You're putting it online, and then not only you're, you know, putting the content on OnlyFans just to make money, you're also promoting it on social media, TikTok, this, that as well. That
And like I said with you, Lana Rose, even how she's all done this switch, and she's like, said in an interview, if I didn't make it big and some of my friends didn't make it big, you've just got videos now of you getting slammed, like orgies, and you made nothing from it. And now you're like, people commit suicide from it. There's like all these younger kids who are trying to do that, and it's just causing so many mental health problems. And it's like, it's coming from a big celebrity who was in that world is now speaking out on it as well. And it's like, if you're going to film all this stuff, expect it to not go anywhere, not make anything, and your corn is still going to be there.
I was just going to say, that's why I think when it comes to, like, this isn't probably another conversation, but again, I'm assuming that it's a predominantly like Aussie audience. One of the biggest pushbacks I hear is about like legislation. But it's like, if we actually don't have things in place and we do make all of this legal, well, in the States, I literally was on a phone call yesterday with a woman who is now building tech to purposely help. In the States, they have really interesting terminology. So they'll call someone who has come out in the sex industry, no matter what capacity, a survivor. And so for any type of survivor that has come out and they have content on the internet, they want to be able to help you to get it down, no matter what. And it's like, they're really fighting for this. Like, who I was speaking with is like, I was speaking with a girl who's come out of the industry. And she's like, I just want to be a teacher. And like, so it's like, okay, how can we help?
yeah.
So I think that's just another interesting thing for people to think about in the conversation.
And at such a young age, when you do start, and then it's like, oh, now I want to be a teacher. Like you said, your brain isn't fully developed. You're making all these decisions and you're not thinking ahead. My mum used to say, oh, do you want that tattoo? What if you get a job when you're older? And it's like, people are making porn and doing it. And it's like, that's just a tattoo. Think about what you've actually got out there now. So yeah, that would be great if they could remove people's content.
Yeah, absolutely.
During your time when you had the OnlyFans girls working for you guys, did yourself or any of the team do something to try and persuade a girl into doing something that you were just like, that is so not okay?
Definitely. I think one of the things when things really started to unravel for me, one of the moments that kind of pricked my ears was I remember being in the car with one of the owners, and she's on the phone with one of these girls that she really wanted. And there was a girl at the agency we would lie and say she was fresh 18. She made like the most amount of money. So that ended up being our target demographic, girls that looked young. And so one of the owners found this girl, and she literally was like, I'm going to be the one to take her under my wing. She's going to be my protege. She's going to be like this other girl. She's going to make her so much money. And she was in a modeling contract. And so under the modeling contract, she wasn't able to do things like this. And so one of the owners was like, oh, this bigger, like, let's get you out of this contract. You're going to come here and make so much more money with us. Like, and I was like, oh, that's where things got a little sticky for me. And because I'm like, this is a legitimate career probably this girl has, and a legitimate opportunity, and you're really influencing her just because you know that you can capitalize on her age and make a lot of money. Like that didn't sit well with me.
Yeah. So we were approached because we obviously have a large group of, you know, girls with envy. So we were approached by a male-run OnlyFans agency, and, you know, they kind of reached out to us and like had a meeting with us, and it sounded all great and well, and we would get a percentage if we were to sign, you know, some of our girls up as clients for their management. And we actually did. I think we have like maybe 4 or 5 girls that worked for us that started, you know, being under their management. The way that like they promised these girls like so much money, like literally just like promising them this lifestyle that just actually never worked out for all four of them. The girls got to a point where the management was so like terribly run, and they were doing things that were literally out of the like agreement point for the girls. So the OnlyFans management was speaking to subs that were actually family friends, telling subs that they would do things that they completely were uncomfortable with, just making the girls really, really
They
slutty.
and they put their profiles on Grinder.
Whoa.
Like
yeah.
like Grinder is gay, isn't it? It's a
I believe, yeah. It is.
It's
It's
a gay,
very, like Tinder.
yeah.
One girl had sent a custom video, and it was only meant for one sub that like they were talking, he's been a sub for ages, and they set that piece of content as their welcome message to go to every new subscriber that she got.
Yeah, no.
So, you know, they ended up being in a dispute with all of the girls and us. We were talking to the girls. We were like, everyone that's with them, cancel now. And then they threatened to take the girls to court.
It's like, where is your, like, how's that going to hold up? The girls said what they were comfortable with. You didn't do, you did the opposite, and you posted the stuff that they said they weren't okay with. Like, what leg do you have to stand on in court? And it's like the money that they were asking that the girls owed them. She's like, but you didn't do what I asked, so why would I pay you for managing my account? And it was probably like not even a couple of grand. I'm like, it's going to cost you more to go to
So actually go to court. Yeah.
So that was horrible to happen, and that was our first experience with
A management. Yeah. See. What's the reality of what creators actually do to their mental health when they sign up?
I think I've seen such a broad spectrum of this now. And so like two stories that I really think of is when I was at the agency, one of the girls wanted to leave, didn't want to do it anymore, said that she hated it and it was giving her the worst anxiety. So I sat down with her and I was like, all right, babe, like, let's get you involved in the business end of this. Like, what are you good at? And she goes, I'm good at being hot. And I was like, no, shut up, babe. Like, tell me, like, what are you good at? And she goes, no, Vic, I'm not good at anything else. This is the only thing I can do. And I even have a friend right now who's in OF, and this is her biggest struggle. What do? I can't do anything else. This is all I know to do. And I think that that's devastating. That was as well one of the catalysts, one of the other things that really led me to keep seeking on, like, I don't think this is right.
But is that because of the digital footprint that they've created is now blocking them off from any other opportunity, or they genuinely believe that they're not good at anything else?
I think that that's what I've seen the most, is that a lot of girls genuinely believe, and this one specific girl who I'm talking about, her own family was telling her, like, you can't do anything else. You have so much anxiety. Like, this is the only thing you can do. So I think that, yeah,
what's her family telling it?
because there's such a lie around this, right? That this is a bigger cultural conversation. But I believe that our culture to some degree is kind of saying the epitome of what it means to be a woman is to go and do this. It's like, no, it's not. We're so multifaceted that if we choose to do this, okay, we can. If it's a free will choice with full consent, but also when we can choose to do and be anything that we want. I don't care if it sounds cheesy. And so I think that when girls get into this, when they really commodify themselves, they do believe my only value, my only worth is my body and how I can exchange my body for money.
Oh, yeah. I definitely think a lot of our viewers and a lot of our workers will resonate with that as well. Like, once you've been in the industry for a certain amount of time, the money doesn't align anywhere else, or I can't do anything else. Like, nothing else is going to work out for me. Like, this is it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Which is so untrue. Like, even we've seen one of our girls become a psychologist, you know.
See,
like, amazing. Like,
If you think about even our line of work, you're a topless waitress sitting there with men talking about their problems, really. I feel like we should all be psychologists.
we're actually more like, you know, well certified for jobs now.
Absolutely. Somebody could, if they just sat down or listened, I hope that people listening to this, like, have a little think about it. Because it's like, there are so many things you could take from this industry, like psychologists, teach men how to date, do actual modeling instead. If all you're good at doing is being hot and you like being in front of the camera, do something that's not so sexual, maybe.
No, well, one of my favorite stories that I tell is one of my really good friends left OF and she's literally starting a cat cafe. Like, isn't it the cutest thing ever? She started fostering cats and she's like, I want to build a cat cafe. And she is just like a juggernaut in business. She is such, I think a lot of women in, honestly, the sex industry in general, but specifically OF, like, incredibly business minded, incredibly entrepreneurial.
And doing it all yourself, or unless you have
an agency. Yeah. You're learning how to market, you're learning how to be consistent, you're learning how to diversify content, and then how do you retain clients. And I think that this is where OF gets sticky, right? Because we put it in such business terms, but then we still have to remember these are humans at the end of the day, and that there are real vulnerabilities and there are real dangers in things like agencies that are predatory. But when you take that out of it and you look at the framework of it, that's what my heart is, to be able to really champion women who want to leave and don't believe they have options. To be like, sis, let's keep you dreaming because you're so capable.
Yeah. That's like a really enlightening point that, you know, the end of the road doesn't stop at OnlyFans or, you know, something that was in your involvement in the sex industry. Yeah. Don't let that. It's not that shame. Lead you to think you can't do anything.
Getting out of the industry is like the first step so that your mind's not around it. Like, this is what I can do. As soon as you have a bit of a break and you start talking to people outside of the industry, your mind will start to tick on things that you can do.
Yeah,
absolutely. Take it from me. So Instagram and social media makes it look like people are making 20 to 100K like a month. How much are creators actually making, and how much did the management take?
Yeah, so the statistics, like literally people can Google this. If you look up OF stats, the average wage of a OF girl is $131 a month. So yeah.
Really?
Yep, you can literally Google it.
That's so low a month.
Yep, in a while. And so the stats show that there's 4.5 million content creators on OF, and only 300 made more than $1 million a year. And you've got like mega celebrities on there. So the vast majority are making, the vast minority are making the mad cash. And then the reality is a lot of people are jumping on and making literally like $2,000 a year, if that.
Wow.
I've seen a lot of this sort of, you know, putting the blame on women all the time on social media, and like, then I kind of can see like other people, like women saying, you know, obviously there's all these OnlyFans creators out here being all over social media, but like, what about the men? What about the subs that is, I don't know how many subs there are.
Oh my gosh. Okay. It is wild. There is more than 300 million people that are signed up to OF, and more than the population of America. Yeah. And majority of them, this is even more interesting. So majority of them are, I believe it's 25 to 32. And there's statistics that suggest that majority of them are married men. Isn't that so interesting? That is a conversation to have in itself, because that intrigues my brain. Because think about it, OF is mainly like a relationship building platform. Unless you have high traffic coming through and you're just selling stuff, you're building relationship with these men. So why is and we would train our chatters in the girlfriend experience. So why is the girlfriend experience working on married men? Anyways, I have so many questions about that.
I don't face the chase. You guys love the chase.
I think
that's the attention.
I think there's that, but I also think, okay, this is again so much bigger than what what we can fit in. But I also think I really focus on like the sex industry, the predatory dark side of this, right? What do they want? They want money. How can you get as much money from a man as possible? Lure them in with their weakest essence and then come in and make them feel lonely. Make them feel like they need you, because then they can make as much money as possible. So I think it's layered. I think that there's some men that don't have morals and values and standards and ethics, but I also think this is really targeting lonely, vulnerable men. And regardless if they're in relationships or not approving this. I always say there is absolutely accountability, but a lot of men that I've met, I do a lot of men's ministry now. And a lot of them, again, does not excuse behavior, but it's loneliness, it's connection. And that's a bigger conversation in our culture around like toxic feminism and like what is a man, where does a man stand? But anyways, I could geek out about that for ages. I find it so interesting.
Maybe we need a part 2.
Well, it's like, I guess the OnlyFans industry is feeding into this lonely man epidemic.
And you say all those women hating videos, and women are saying it's
it's
justified. It's sort of male loneliness epidemic. Women don't want to date you because you all hate women, or like you're not actually providing anything because now women are providing for themselves. It's like, what are you offering? That's a whole nother thing that women are like.
Oh, I think we're talking about men and women.
What is the purpose of a man?
Yeah. And then half the women don't want to have babies now because of how the world's going, and they can't afford it. It's like having a child now is so expensive. And so then it's like, what do I need a man for?
Yeah.
But if you pull on that thread even more, okay, think about this from like a perspective of like, if we believe to some degree that like there's good and evil in the world, what would evil want? Wouldn't evil want this divide between men and women? And pull on that, so you don't have relationships, you don't have families, you don't have all these beautiful things. And I see, oh my gosh, on one of my recent posts, it's kind of popped off a bit, the vileness of men hating women. If you read it, you're going to be like, wait, what? But then what does that do? Make women hate men more. That makes men hate women. And so it's like, hey, if you step back and look at this from a bigger cultural perspective, again, I think there's so many ways you can go. But I'm like, for me, I'm like, well, that's exactly what would evil want in this world. Men to hate women, men to hate women. There'd not be a desire to be in relationship, to build families, because that is the destruction of, you know, basically the foundation of society since the beginning of time.
Yeah.
I wonder, is this just in the sex industry world? Is it because
I think it's pretty mainstream.
everywhere?
It is so mainstream.
Yeah, I remember when you said, have you seen all the male hating stuff? I hadn't seen it anywhere.
Yeah.
And then someone spoke to me about it, and my feed just started going off. And I was like, what is this?
When I first, this is funny, when I first started like stripping, I was like, I'm going to do this, but I just don't want to turn into one of those male hating women, like the bitter male hating women. Here we are.
I think it's hard though. I think like the thing is, this brings out the worst essence in a man. Again, I read studies that a man's brain, when he consumes pornography, if he looks at tools and looks at a woman, the same parts of his brain lights up. And so it's like, isn't that awful? So it's like, but what does this do? Again, these are so many, there's variances. I've had people discredit that before. I'm just saying, if this is true, I don't know. But I'm like, it would bring out the worst in a man, wouldn't it?
I do have a point to say to this. Someone asked me the other day, they were like, you must, and a lot of customers will be like, you must, deal with some fuckheads. And I think this is the different part of like, the differences between the OnlyFans world and actually physically stripping or, escorting or doing anything like that. Like, I actually have I have dealt with problematic customers, like I can probably count on one hand, and I've been stripping for years. The most traumatic things that I've been through involving a man has always been out of my workplace.
So interesting.
So interesting. So I think that there's a level of like admiration and respect from customers that are paying for a service as well. Like we do get really great clients that have that, respect for the girls. Thank you for watching another episode of Spicy Waitress Diaries. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.